So Civil Wars Part 1. This episode was really good. I think it was interesting mostly for how it showed so many different family dynamics. That was mostly what the episode was about. Even though it's obviously titled Civil Wars and it's about the North Pole and the South Pole tribes, not uniting as the one tribe they really are. But I feel like this episode focused more on family and, Tenzin and his brother and sister. I really appreciated that for what it was because, as I mentioned last time, it's really cool to see how they really, think about, their past and how they grew up and how, Tenzin was obviously Aang's favorite because, he was the airbender. And Kaya, even though she is a waterbender, which I completely forgot, she wasn't really, Aang's favorite, and neither was Bumi, who was a non-bender at all. In general, he's a non-bender. So it's really cool to see how each person, relived the past, and Tenzin obviously felt like he had the greatest, and he'd recall all these things where him and Aang would go places, and he thought him, Kaya, and Bumi were all out there, and they'd say, no, we weren't there. That was just you and Dad because we weren't airbenders, so we weren't that special to him. And something I really like when they're all together is how they each kind of represent a different tribe. Obviously, Tenzin's the airbender, and then Kai's the waterbender, and then Bumi, obviously named after Bumi from the original Avatar, he kind of represents an earthbender in some scenes, mostly when he's wearing the robe and just has nothing else on. But in that scene, he kind of represents the color of earthbenders being green generally, and they each have their own little place, and we get to see their dynamic. And obviously, with me mentioning this first off, it's because it's really my favorite part of this episode. I really appreciated some of the other things with Korra and her uncle, and it was really interesting to see how fast things ramped up. Like I mentioned last time, things are just kind of they're shooting right forward. They're not wasting any time with fillers or anything like that. They're just going right forward. And in the very beginning of the episode, the tribe, is basically being invaded by their sister tribe, I guess. I don't know if they'd say brother or sister tribe, but they're being invaded, and then ice walls are going up, and people are basically being separated in the streets, even though that was like a minor thing. But they're locking people in the docks, and then Korra has to figure out what she can or cannot do as the Avatar, and she learns in this episode she can't just be tough and be the Avatar. It doesn't work that way. You have to be tough, but you have to be smart, and you kind of have to listen to your parents. You have to listen to everyone, really. You have to figure out things for yourself. It's not that you just have to listen to whoever's older. It's just that you have to really listen and pay attention to who's right and who's wrong, and what people are actually doing, rather than assuming you know what they're doing and just like getting mad at people like she has been for 3 episodes. But fortunately, that stopped, and we'll have to see how it goes next week, considering how the episode ended. But it was really good how they you know, kind of went through it, and she's mad at him. And then when, because I can't remember his name, but when her uncle does end up getting kidnapped, and she finds out that her father wasn't involved, it kind of makes her realize how wrong she was for pretty much just like writing him off. And when she goes back to say how sorry she is in the end, because even though she felt like she was lied to, and how she was lied to really by her father for his past, and then her father and Tenzin and her mother and pretty much everyone else, as far as her growing up and having to train. She was obviously really angry, but she learned, and she learned a lesson pretty much by saying that her father isn't just trying to take out his own brother, even though his brother, obviously, as we saw in the end of the episode, is trying to take him out, because he has a huge weird agenda as far as some spiritual thing. It's obviously going to be something. I think he's going to be trying to take over a lot of powerful spirits or something like that, and we might get something very similar to the season 1 finale for Avatar, and that would be interesting to see, especially if it was someone like from within the tribe who actually caused something crazy like that to happen. But obviously, that's just speculation. But the episode itself, I think, was really well done. And of course, Bolin with the twins, that was really funny. And him trying to break up. I just thought that was hilarious. And my favorite part has to be when they did like the weird laughing. It was just weird. It was funny and weird. And then Bolin's just like scared the whole time. He tried to break up with her, but obviously, I want to say Dessa is her name. She pretty much threatened him, so he can't break up with her because he's too scared to do it because he doesn't want to die, which makes perfect sense. But more of that was great. We got to see the crazy director. He obviously isn't just silly and stuff. He was really angry, just like a lot of the you know tribesmen were and tribeswomen. And he's been arrested because he was basically he was the one who created the idea for the rebels, and so now he's been arrested. And as I mentioned already twice before, the end of the episode, Cora's gonna have to figure out what to do now that her uncle, he's clearly decided, I'm just gonna take everyone out who's against me. So that means I have to take out my brother and my sister-in-law, even if that means, you know, my niece, who is the Avatar, is gonna end up against me. But I don't think he's thinking of that right now. He's just thinking, I have her on my side because I'm the only one who can defeat the spirits, and because he helped her release the Northern Lights. He I think he feels as though he has Korra like in his corner already, so he can pretty much just take out any opponents he has left. But we're really gonna see now that she's, accepted her parents, point of view and seeing how wrong she was for just being angry at him. I think we're really gonna get to see that, kind of a 180. I guess not a complete 180, but almost a 180 where, she's gonna see her uncle for who he really is, and as obviously a bad guy who's trying to invade his, like I said, his sister or brother tribe, and take out his own family along with everyone else just so he can accomplish some hidden agenda. But I really appreciated the episode. um Tenzin looking for his daughter. I feel like next week, if they go into it, which I'm sure they will, we'll have even more of Tenzin's relationship with his brother and sister, as well as Aang and Katara, because his kids kind of bullied her, so it kind of had that similarity, which I thought they'd get to in this episode. But considering they didn't find her, I feel like that's why they didn't actually have him say anything to his daughter, because obviously he hasn't found his daughter yet. But I'm really excited to see where that goes, and it'll just be interesting to see how he relates what his kids are going through with what he went through, even though it is still different because all his kids are airbenders, so they don't exactly have to deal with the same sort of separation, even though they're all siblings. Especially considering, um, Aang picking favorites over his children, which I thought was really interesting when Kaya said that. It kind of made him seem like sort of a deadbeat dad a little bit, because it just seemed like he kind of ran out on like 2/3 of his kids just to play with Tenzin. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in future episodes, and I'm definitely excited for it. For some reason, just like far more than anything else going on, I just want to hear about like Tenzin and his family and how they get along, but they also have all their issues. Boomy not being a bender, and then even though Kaya is a bender, she's not an airbender, so she didn't have like the great relationship that Tenzin had, but she still kind of has her own set of a relationship with him because they're both benders and Boomy isn't. And then Tenzin was always picked on, and then just the different dynamics they have, how they can each kind of group off on their own and then be three separate people as well with their own individual problems. I just find that more entertaining than like any of the action and stuff going on with Korra. But obviously, you comment below, let me know what you think of the episode. What do you think next week's episode is going to be like? How like is Korra? Do you think Korra's going to actually stop her dad from getting arrested? Do you think she'll kind of like try to stay in the middle, which I'm sure she will because she's the Avatar, so she's gonna try to follow that path and be tough, but in the center as well, like she tried in this episode. But that didn't really work, so we'll have to see where is she really gonna go. But like I said, comment below, let me know what you thought of the episode and where you think things are gonna go for next week. Thanks for watching.